The Wednesday week is sponsored by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. We bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week. My name's Dan Fudge, and tonight joining me, I've got Dave, I've got Steve, who's riddled with the Rona, I've got Ben, who's, I think it's just your first appearance or your second appearance this season, Ben. You've got lovely short hair. He's not been around because obviously he's been in prison, looking at him. And I've got Simon as well. So we've got a couple of games to get through tonight. We've got our first loss in the league and our first goal conceded to talk about. We've also got our pizza trophy under 15s, Newcastle home TPP points extravaganza coming up. We're going to talk about that. But first of all, let's how you feeling, Steve? You all right?
Yeah, I feel all right. Finally 18 months later, I finally come down with it. The wife's got it, the kids have got it. Lessons to be learned: don't host barbecues. Yeah. But
I tell you what, if anybody out there listening has had it, it absolutely floored me. I don't know if any of you guys got it. It floored me in terms of the neck ache and the smell thing and the taste. I tell you what, you can look forward to though, Steve, is the bit where you lose a load of weight because you don't eat, because you can't taste it, and you don't see a point in doing it. You know what I mean? But my love to the family, and I hope you recover soon. So let's get on with some football. Let's talk about that now. Let's talk about Morecambe, trip away at the seaside. And I think it was last week that I said we all predicted 2-0, 3-0, and I went, well, but I'm probably going to be a meme if they end up doing us 1-0. And guess what happened? So, Simon, I'll come to you first. First goal conceded by Sheffield Wednesday, and it was Adeniran. So tell us about it. What was your day like?
It was a good day, actually. Nice weather, nice few beers. Horrible journey up there. Ben went up as well. It was a horrible journey up. I think everybody was going on holiday, going up to the lakes in Scotland. I said last week, and we all spoke about having a spine of the team and keeping the back four, back five together. And I think it was down to injuries. We lost another player in the back four, and we went to a back three. And for me personally, I know Ben was there as well. I think it showed at first. We looked a little jittery, looked a little bit nervous. It upset the formation of the team. But saying that, we absolutely battered them. And they played some absolutely lovely football. Played some great football. And then a little mistake, conceding the corner, and you knew what was going to happen. They scored, and then they just sat everybody back behind the ball, took the time wasted. But one worrying thing was that there didn't seem to be. We swapped a few players around, and it didn't work. We had the last few minutes in injury time. We rallied, tried to get the equaliser, but it didn't work. Again, we played that one up front with Gregory, brought Canberry on, and the Canadian guy Corby.
I tell you what, I like the way you did that. That had a French flourish. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, there is, so it is from Canada.
Yeah.
So I think he had about 15 minutes. I think some of the guys who went on Tuesday night saw a bit more of him. Yeah, it was, and then Morecambe celebrated like it was their cup final when they won.
Well, I think we would have done if we'd have been in that. If we'd have seen that Argentina goal against Manchester City, we'd have been exactly the same.
Yeah.
Ben, did it have an element of these are easy, we're going to beat these, and should we have really stuck to our original game plan that's seen us so well through the season so far? Did we change what we did? Did it have an element of that?
No, I don't really think so. I agree with Simon that maybe the change at the back did make us look a little bit jittery, just sort of with Hutchinson's injury, him having to drop out and having to put Palmer in on left side centre half. But as Simon said, we battered them, especially at first half. Created chance after chance, hit the bar. George Byers hit the post in the second half. We had so many chances flash across goal. And it were only really after going 1-0 down that we didn't look very creative. I think it just shocked us a bit that we had gone one down, seeing as how dominant we'd been.
There's a definite change in the highlight reel when you start it, and it's all very much we're creating this, we're doing this, long range strike this, long range strike that, and then after the goal, all of a sudden what we saw creeping back in, Ben, was Bannon dropping deep again to try and pull the strings. Did you get a sense of that's what happened again?
Yeah, I think it was probably down to the changes that we made with Canberra coming on it down the left side and Corbin coming on down the right. But yeah, he was dropping deeper, which I don't think helped. I think we've all said over the last couple of years that when that's happened, and that has happened because we've been that reliant on him, and it's changed at the start of this season because we brought people like George Byers in, Adeniran, Lewis Wing, who takes the pressure off, especially Byers, I think, because Wing plays a bit higher up, but Byers is the one that really sits deeper that we've seen Bannon doing the last few years, which is freeing Bannon up to just play higher up the pitch. Yeah, it was disappointing, but there were a few people booing him, which is ridiculous because I think did we have about 18 shots to their
we did absolutely smash it.
Now, I can't be going booing them after that. I know
what you mean. Now, Steve, did you see did you get the sense that when sometimes something goes wrong like this, and let's be honest, right? It's football. If every result was going to go the way it was supposed to, I'd be a bloody millionaire every week, and I could tell you that for 25 quid Sky Bet Club. You know what I mean? I saw more people going, I can't believe people are slagging team off than actually people slagging the team off. Or did you actually see a few bits on social media?
No, I'd agree with you. I don't think there was too much negative feeling. I think I don't know if it's a sign of the times or something to signify a more sustained change in how things are around the club at the moment. But even though we've lost, we're still second.
Yeah.
I didn't see on socials too much negativity. I know that Ben was saying, and I saw somewhere else, it might have been a chat that somebody else had put on somewhere that there was a little bit of booing, but other than that, I think he's earned the right with the business that we've done, the players that we've brought in, and the position that we are in the table, and the fact that, let's be right, we've absolutely battered them, even though we've not won the game. I think that's carried a little bit of good faith, if you like. I don't think there's any need to panic. I wasn't overly concerned. I think I said on Saturday, we're going to lose games this season. Nobody's going to go, even though Ben didn't think so. We were never going to go the full season without losing a game or two, and we'll lose again. But as things are standing at the moment, I think all things are pointing in the right direction. And given the overhaul of the squad that we've had, I still think we're a couple of weeks away from knowing what the best 11 is. I still think that more is a way away from knowing that. I think the activity that we'll probably talk about a little bit later in terms of the front line is going to be, that's going to dictate what that first 11 is going to look like a little bit going, into the coming weeks and months. Until we get to that point, probably the cliche of looking at the table at Christmas, probably around that time, we need to start thinking about, the performances and where we are. The dust is still settling in League One at the moment, isn't it? So
absolutely. I mean, there's also an argument the fact that Sunderland are top, and they've been down there for 3 years now. They should know how this bloody league works now. You know what I mean? Because I think they got a sense of entitlement when they first went down there, thinking they were going to bounce straight back up, and they get so close, but yet so far.
I think, Dan, this is a sort of game, exactly the sort of game that we were going to come up across sooner rather than later. With the way the season started, we had those local sort of South Yorkshire derbies, and we had that game away at Charlton that we started with. So this is a perfect example of the sort of game that we're going to have to get used to grinding out. And on this instance, yes, we played very well. Morecambe perhaps rode the luck at times, and they took a chance, and we've been beaten, but it's probably as well that it happened now in the way that it's happened, and it's not all that unexpected. And it's probably, like I say, it's probably good, because had we gone 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 10 games unbeaten, then you get hype. You then start getting, individuals in the team starting to think this is going to be a canter or a cakewalk. It probably is better, and it is probably better for Moore and his team to have a look at players who have turned out in that game, perhaps not stepped up, perhaps not adjusted to the game as well as they'd hoped. So they might have learned more from that game and losing it than had we pinched the 1-0 win. So it might actually set us better in the long term.
One thing I would say on that is I did see somebody had posted something on socials about, if we miss out on promotion or the playoffs by 3 points, well, we're going to come back, look back on Morecambe away and rue that. If we're missing out on promotion or playoffs by 3 points, it's not because of Morecambe, it's because over the duration of the season, we haven't picked enough points up to get promoted or get into the playoffs. So anybody with that sort of mentality needs to give their head a wobble, quite frankly, because that's not how it works. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And if we're not good enough to go up this year, which is the worry, I do think for all the positivity that we're talking about, let's be right, we're going to be in an absolute state if we're not in and around it come the end of the season. And all the positives will become negatives, whether Moore's there or not, because there will be another squad overhaul. Let's make no mistakes about it. The players that have come in aren't here to play for Sheffield Wednesday in League One for 2-3 years. That squad has been built to get us up this year. And I think, in 8-9 months' time, if we're not there, expect to see the likes of Iorfa, Adenir and Windass. One or two others will say thanks, but no thanks. You've been a wonderful audience, literally. But I'm going to go and ply my trade at a higher level.
I think if you take out the game on Saturday, obviously we lost the 3 points, but the positivity I would take out of it is how well we played. We played some sublime football at points. Adeniran was superb. They lumped him, kicked him all over the place. They obviously did a job. They did a job on him because they'd obviously seen that he was one of our key players. Thought Byers had a fantastic game. Other than not scoring, I thought Lee Gregory had a great game. I thought Johnson.
For anybody that really had a poor game.
No, they all had. And you know what? I think I said this to Ethan. If we'd got one goal, I don't think we would have won by 1-0. I think it would have been 3-4, 5-0. I think we would have absolutely battered them. It would have opened, and we were just unfortunate with that own goal. And I think that was down to. It was a mistake that led to the corner, and I think that was down to the fact that we played. Unfortunately, we had to play 3 at the back due to injuries. So I can only take anything but positives from it. I thought we played really, really well, and you'll go to some places and play crap and get 3 points.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it was only really our, like Dave touched upon, it was only really our second proper fixture. You know what I mean? There's the hype around the first fixture. Then there's 2 local derbies. So it's literally Fleetwood and Morecambe who've, and we won one and lost one essentially. But the one we've lost, we've battered. So like I say, it's not time to push the panic button yet, right?
Yeah. I mean, look at it this way. If we go through the season by winning 3, losing 1 and drawing 1 every 5 games, we're going to be top 2.
And that's why he's on the show, ladies and gentlemen, doing his own work on that and maths this week, apparently. So that's all right. So we're not too down. We're not too worried. The performance is there. And as daft as it sounds, I think there'd have been a point last season that even if we lost 1-0 every game, as long as the players turned up and there was a performance there, we'd have gone, do you know what? We tried. That's football. It's the way it goes. But that is football, and that is the way it goes. And we end up losing at the Seaside, where Eric took his name. So, we're not going to lose our minds about it. Fast forward now 3 or 4 days, and we were taking on Newcastle under 15s in the Pete's Windscreens Trophy. Now, in terms of this competition, before we get to the game itself, I had one of the best days out of my life going to Wembley in 2016. Like, genuinely, it was nice that happened, because last time I went was, 30 years ago. So it was nice that it happened at Wembley, and I had a great day. And wouldn't we like to do that again? Simon, come on, you'd have another day out, wouldn't you?
Oh God, absolutely.
You want to take it serious?
I know this competition has its detractors, and I probably voiced that last week in regards to the fact that obviously Premiership teams are allowed to field their reserve teams. But saying that, if we got to the final, we'd take 45,000 fans. We'd
we'd be asking for more tickets, wouldn't we?
I went in 91. I went in 93 to the semi-final and 2 3 finals. And then obviously went to Cardiff, and I went to our last visit to Wembley. It'd be a fantastic day out. It doesn't really matter what cup it is and who it's sponsored by, whether it be a pizza company or Vanarama or whatever. It's some silverware. I'd like to see us get to the final. I think it'd be a great day out. It'd be a great day out for all of us. So let's not detract from it. We need some success, and success builds success, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and that's what I mean. It's one of them where it filters through the team. Now 3-0, Ben, ain't a shabby result, is it?
No, and again, we'll look at the stats on that one, and I think that was even more dominant than the Morecambe game. We had about 70% possession. It was just a lovely, pleasant game to go and watch, wasn't it, really? For those that went and watched.
I don't think anybody's ever said that
pressure.
about watching Sheffield Wednesday, mate. I don't think that's ever happened.
No, that's what was so good about it. But yeah, it was just as I say, a nice game to go and watch. We played some good football, which you shouldn't really be expecting ALS against Newcastle's 21s, but you beat who was in front of you, and that's what we did. We could have had a lot more, and I think it were the same as the Morecambe game. If we'd have got this goal against Morecambe around the same time as we did against Newcastle, the same result would have happened, to be honest.
Yeah, I know one of the things I'd seen. I didn't see the whole game. I didn't manage to get to it for obvious reasons, but obviously you have to kind of have it with the caveat of who we're up against. But from what I saw with the highlights, what I quite like to see, and anybody who was at the match might be able to just confirm this, I thought Wing, with Bannon absent, filled in that role as the playmaker an awful lot more. And again, whilst the opposition is only children, basically, it is nice to know that we have that versatility and we have that option now where Wing could perhaps step in if we were to lose Bannon. So there's got to be positives there, and there's got to be things that we can take from that going forward against trickier opposition.
Absolutely.
He did exactly that. He did exactly what we usually see Bannon do. He pulled the strings and he run the game, basically.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it? That's nice to know. That's nice to know. Now, Steve, come on. Here's an opportunity now. Here's an opportunity. Goal scorers on the day, Steve. Who bagged?
Liam Palmer scored. Just on the whole sort of setup. I was interested, and I agree with everything that Simon was saying before, and I mentioned that it was an opportunity for us to go in and have a look at whatever team we put out. We were going to play 4 or 5 lads, these so-called fringe players, the Corbianos we'd not had a chance to have a look at. There were 1 or 2 others that we were going to look at blooding it, resting Bannon. Before I mentioned anything else, I thought Brennan at the back was absolutely outstanding. I thought he was phenomenal. Not seen too much of him for various reasons over the last season or so, but he came in, he was assured. I'm not saying that he's a direct replacement for anybody in the back line at the moment, because it was 1 game against the opposition that we played against. But I think given 6 months of blooding and playing with the players that are playing at the back at the moment, I think he will be an outstanding footballer for us. He's going to be one of those lads in a couple of years that we move on for big money, and he's going to break our hearts, to be honest with you.
So it was so much calmer to watch than Dunkley, by the way.
Yeah. He was assured on the ball. Yeah. He looked mature. He just looked a class apart. His touch, his technique, the way that he played football out from the back the other night was absolutely brilliant. Who scored the first goal?
I actually can't remember. Shit! Debut goal, first goal for the club. Debut goal, Silasau. I had that written down as well.
He was good as well. Good as well. I had a total blank because the game only started when Palmer made that marauding run through the middle.
Where did he play? Did he play him up front? Is he an actual winger?
He was left side of a 3. Yeah.
I was really impressed by him.
Yeah, I thought he was really good as well. I thought he was really, really good, really tidy. I'm going to be controversial. I've seen a lot of stuff in the press about Corbiano. I know that he flattered to deceive in terms of 1 or 2 people's opinions in the group here on Saturday. I didn't see a great deal from him in terms of end products on Tuesday night.
I only saw.
That made me think that he's going to play a lot of football this year.
He was only on 15 minutes. He was only on 15 minutes at Morecambe, and he, me personally, I didn't see anything in that 15 minutes that has sort of backed up his star rating from Wolves. Look, he's been ill, hasn't he? So he might come on, but he was like that kid who does lots of stepovers, and then he looks really good, and then there's no end product. But I've only seen 15 minutes of him, so I'll reserve judgment at the moment.
I think a lot of young players in that position are always guilty of that because they're so eager and keen to impress with the skills and the tricks. It's only that bit of maturity that brings, I only need to beat that guy once and I can get the ball, and I don't need to beat him 3 times. So perhaps it is just an over-eagerness and an over-keenness to impress. Hopefully.
I think he just needs a bit of time. As we said, he's been out for a couple of weeks and he's only 19. I know we're saying opposition.
It's young when Ben can say only before age.
I know this was Newcastle under 21s, but he was probably still younger than people are up against, and he were all right. I don't think he had a particularly bad game, but I'd also agree with Steve. He didn't really create too much. He had one good effort in the first half on volley, which brilliant save by Newcastle keeper. But I, from what I've seen of him, it's not passing the ball quick enough and slight sloppiness with some of his passing, which I think with more games will improve, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Maybe I'm doing him a disservice. I just thought, maybe it's that Silasau was that good, and I thought Delabashiro in the middle of the park as well was really, really good. He was really promising. The other night, I thought he ran his absolute nuts off, to be honest with you.
I was going to say, Steve, how did he fit in the midfield compared to how we've set up in the league and how we've had our individual midfielders play? Did Delabashiro bring his own style to the game, or did he play a la whoever from the league matches?
Me personally, watching him, I thought he brought his own. He put his own mark on the game itself. I was always under the impression that he'd be somebody who sat a little bit deeper, would maybe break things up and then give the ball to other people that could play. But he ran, and he ran with the ball at his feet. He ran players down. He ran. He was more a box to box than somebody who'd sit and hold. So. The cliche these days is that classic "I want to play CDM," the Makaleli role. We've not signed him for that. He's not turning out to play CDM. He's a box to box. He's your 2021 Carlton Palmer, as far as I'm concerned. He gets about. His end product was, every time he got a sight at goal, he was taking shots. Unfortunately, he wasn't hitting the target, but he was an aggressive player on Tuesday night, and I thought he did really, really well. Different to Wing, different to Byers, different to Bannon. Probably out of the players that I've seen this season, I'd liken him more to Adeniran than anybody else, to be honest with you. But no complaints at all. And again, it goes to speak to the strength in depth that we've got in the squad, really.
Amazing. So, Liam Palmer, Marvin Johnson, and Silasau getting on the score sheet. Palmer putting it away, and every time Liam Palmer does anything now, I just tag you in it, Steve. I find it what I mean. I feel like
it was nearly on a hat trick as well. He hit the bar as well. Brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant.
I can see that at half term at Liam Palmer's soccer school up at Goals, that there'll be all these kids, and then there'll be Steve there.
On
his knees, pretending to be really short.
Yeah. Oh, hello. My name is Steve, and I am 5 years old. Okay, so there was I in the same week that unfortunately I know some people have taken delight in this. There was an article today of Osaze Ergahide, ex-Sheffield Wednesday player, great prospect, but a future getting snaffled by Celtic, thanks to Tony Pulis' coaching staff, that he's not going to make it into the team because he's not training well. Now, as much as we're going to take delight in that, I wish the kid well, and I hope he does all right, and I hope he breaks in soon. But in the same week that this has been released, we've also done another signing. We do what we want. We sign who we like. You know what I mean? And back from the West Brom days, Darren Moore got his friend Saido Berahino. at one point was an established Premier League striker. I popped out a tweet on the TWWcast Twitter account saying if we were to sign somebody on transfer deadline day, what position would you want? And striker was very much the winner. And I thought we were okay in that position with the attacking players we've got. But no, we want more strikers. Who knows anything about him, lads?
Well, going off like what we all know about him from 5 or 6 years ago, it was worth, valued at 25 million.
Spurs are supposed to be so close. They were having him as their future leading light before Harry Kane was a Harry Kane, and obviously life got in the way with him. But if any of that talent's still there, this can't be bad business, can it? This has got to be a calculated gamble that's with Moore and his knowledge.
It's mental, right?
It is mental. It is properly mental. But if anyone's going to get a tune out of him, why not? We've tried this whole attitude before, where we've signed players that sound a bit mental, like Francis Jeffers, and it's just not gone very well. But I don't know. Maybe just this time.
I don't know. Nobody knows, did he? Is anybody all like, I think he's going to be mint. I think he's going to be great. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what's happening. We don't know.
From what I've read, is Darren Moore's kept in contact with him, and he's actually kept in dialogue with him since he's left West Brom. And the guy has come to Wednesday on a reduced wages because Darren Moore's our manager. He's persuaded him to come. He's come on. I don't know how much he's been paid, but vastly reduced wages to what he's on. But I think, like you say, if anybody can get a tune out of him, it's going to be Darren Moore. What they signed him on? Is it 2 year contract?
Oh, we signed him properly. We haven't loaned him.
Yeah,
they haven't disclosed how much they're paid or how long the contract is. It's all a bit kind of. I can see Fudge doing his Chancery voice in a minute because.
How much? What's it costing us?
It's a free transfer though.
And is he not only 29 as well?
Yeah, 28, I think.
28. So,
28.
God,
mate, if Darren Moore can get him and turn him into what half the striker he was, crap,
Yeah, innit? If we can get him the ball, he might be able to put it in the back of the net, like we couldn't do against Morecambe. It might be the player we're missing. And to have a battle for that centre forward strike, shirt with Lee Gregory isn't going to be the worst thing to ever happen, right? That can't be too bad.
They've got to be different styles of players as well. And if you think about it for the opposition's point of view, whoever we're facing, if you think you're setting your defence up to be battered by a Lee Gregory of the world, and then all of a sudden we go, do you know something? We're going to put Berahino in instead.
Yeah, now you've got to chase him around. What? Come on.
That's so difficult. And then obviously, if there's going to be fixture congestion as the season goes on, to have that flexibility to say, well, look, we can play Gregory for 70 minutes if he's feeling his hamstring or whatever, or we can pop out on, something like Berahino, if we can keep him fit and he can turn into a player. There's just...
I saw something with Wednesday's attacking options on July the 1st, and it was Windass, Patterson, and Green. And then Wednesday's attacking options on September the 1st: Windass, Patterson, Shadipo, Corbinu, and 13 more.
Basically, the entire cast of So Solid crew and some more. That's how many strikers we've got now. But that's a good point that Ben's just said. That's not even including the fact that Windass hasn't came back yet. Yeah. Again, as yet another option.
Shadipo's not kicked.
Shadipo as well,
minutes against Huddersfield.
I need to mention actually Windass. So I'm excited to see Windass in League One because I think it's going to be a cakewalk for him. I'm going to be really impressed to see him go and have a run at these defenders and tell them to shut their effing mouth. You know what I mean? I really want to see how that goes off. But I need to shout out to somebody here on Twitter, and it was a guy that said, if Dean Windass still plays for us by the time the transfer window closes, I'll give 100 quid to Shay's Triathlon, and he did. He get it. I'll dig out his name at some point. And I'll find it out. But fair play, whoever you are right now, I'll mention it. At the back end of the show. But
you mean Josh Windass?
Oh Jesus! Do you know what? I've been doing it. I've been doing it all
week. That was a joke to start.
No, it's not. It's not even a gag. I just fucked it up. You know what I mean? It was the same last week when I thought we were playing away at Newcastle. I just, I work in a boozer. I drink a lot.
You're good for one of them a week at minute, you.
Hey?
So you're good for one of them a week at the
You know,
minute.
Blackburn Rovers on the week, wasn't it? Blackburn
Yeah,
Rovers.
Blackburn Rovers.
We've played Blackburn Rovers away at Newcastle, and now
This
we've
is-
signed 60-year-old Dean Windass.
He's doing a lot of walking. He's a lot fitter than he was.
Right then. So there's not really much else to talk about, lads, unless there's something you want to bring to the table. We've only done half an hour. I'm worried about the listeners. You know what I mean? It's going to end early. I'm bereft of things to chat about.
Well, social media took a little bit of a turn to previous dismalness when it was announced that Massimo Luongo is going to be out for a while with an injury, and everybody blamed him. It was his fault he's injured. He's rubbish because he's injured himself. Like he's just gone, he's gone into his wife. Don't want to play for Wednesday for a few months. Kick me. The poor lad was probably one of the best players against Rotherham. I believe he injured himself towards the last 5-10 minutes, and he's going to be out for quite some time. And it is not. Is he
though? Because I saw something that Darren Moore said. Hopefully, it's going to be weeks and not months.
Right. Well, let's hope so, because the lad is a really, really nice bloke. I've met him a couple of times, and all he wants to do is play football. He's a typical Aussie lad, and he's shown when he has played and when he is fit that he is a good player for Sheffield Wednesday, and he'll tear this league up if he can stay fit. And it isn't his fault that he's injured. So those people on Twitter and whatever, just wind your neck in and grow up. Come on.
He never had an injury before he come to Hillsborough either.
Did he not?
No. He's never been significantly injured.
Well, I'll tell you what, actually, I brought this up on the show before. There was a chap who I go drinking with, or used to a few years ago. And he went to Arsenal. I think I've told you this story before. He went to Arsenal and he said, listen, if you keep training on this training ground, these players are going to injure themselves because of it was literally like AstroTurf on concrete.
That's what's always been said about Midwood.
And that's what we've got. And look, when you look at players like Kieran Lee and Gary Hooper and the issues that they had, and I think Bannon was out for a significant amount of time. And then there was that time where we had every player of our first team out. You kind of want to go, Dapon, can we spend some money on the training pitch here? Because mans are getting injured. Do you know what I mean? And you're right. Like Luongo, I think it's not his fault that he's injured. It's a perfect storm of circumstance of him getting injured, and to give him shite about it on social media just to me seems mental. It's not like Alman Abdi, who just was literally on holiday. You know what I mean?
I think the thing with to sort of give Luongo his due. I saw, was it Alex Miller? I think Howson's done the same. Dom Howson did the same. They picked their best 11 from all the players that would be available if everybody was fit, and they both stuck Luongo in there. And when you think that we've been sitting in now for a month talking about Adin Aaron, we've been talking about Wing, we've been talking about Byers. I know that Bannon can be quite Marmite at times, and can be quite divisive because of the way that he plays and the influence that he has on the team. But I don't think there's many people that would disagree that Bannon is the first name on the team sheet, whether you rate him or not. He's such an influential player, and I think he's an absolute talisman, to be honest with you. But I don't have Luongo too far behind him, to be honest with you. We paid big money for him. He's on reasonable wages. He's not on Jordan Rhodes money, but he's on. I bet he's on a decent whack in relation to the rest of the squad at the moment. And I think when he's on it and when he's playing, he's worth every penny in relative terms, to be honest with you. So I've got no argument with Luongo. When he's fit, coming back in, I think he's going to be a massive player for us.
So I'll tell you what, then put yourself in Darren Moore's shoes, Steve. So you've got in that centre midfield, you've got Bannon, you've got Luongo. Let's say they're all fit for shits and gigs, and then you've got Wing. Then you've got, come on, Ben, help me out, pal. I'm an old man. I used to know this I could tell you about Ryan Jones and John Sheridan.
We've got Dean Windass.
We've got Dean Windass. He's there. He's in it.
Swaddle.
As well.
So go on. Who we got, Ben? Sorry, list them out.
So Wing, Byers, Bannon, Adeniran, Luongo, Kelly Bashiru,
Brown,
Wide. Yeah.
Okay. So there you are, Steve. There's 10 players to pick from there. What position? What are you picking? Are you picking 2 to partner Bannon, or are you going to go with 3 separate ones?
You're asking Steve to pick a team.
I'm
It's
asking
gonna be Liam
Steve.
Palmer, isn't it?
Yeah. Liam Palmer in goal. Number 1 is Liam Palmer.
It's the Nielsen remix. I think for me, if I'm I'm playing 3 because that seems to be his preferred style, isn't it? That's why he's signed the players that he's signed, and that's why we've got the squad that we've got, because he likes the way that he's set up. Injuries and circumstances meant we didn't set up like that against Morecambe last Saturday. But what I do like about the fact that we didn't have the right players in the right positions, he has switched it up and he's gone to a plan B. Although we've battered and we've lost, but there is a plan B there. There is a second way of thinking. The way that he's assembled the squad, if you go back and listen to the things he was talking about at the start of the season, he was saying that, the balance isn't right. That's what he said about the squad. He said this squad isn't right, and he's torn it up, and he's recreated a team of Sheffield Wednesday players and a squad at Sheffield Wednesday, and well, obviously not in his own identity, but you know what I mean. He's created his team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a 3 with Bannon. I actually think, and again, quite controversially, I think, because I know that people are lauding Lewis Wing. I don't think there's a great deal to be had between Lewis Wing and George Byers from what I've seen of Byers, to be honest.
Send your tweets to @SteveSpen.
I agree that, to be fair.
I'd have no
Byers.
Say that again, sorry.
I agree. I like look at Byers just as.
I think Byers is very, very tidy. You can't take it all with in context, but I thought Della Bashiru he came in from City at the start of last season, and we were talking about the fact that he was a little bull and he was getting around, and he low centre of gravity and a strong lad for a teenager. And then he sat on the bench for such a long time, and he's not really had a look in this season either. And you can't complain. But for me personally, it's that cliche of you take your opportunities when you get them. I don't think he's put a foot wrong on Tuesday night, and I think he's given Darren Moore a real headache. I'm not saying he'd be in my first choice sort of midfield 3, but he's there and thereabouts. I probably would have Bannon. I probably would have Luongo in there, if I'm honest with you.
Good job. Otherwise, Rotherham would take him and sit him on bench.
And I think just for balance, given that you've got those 2 players, I think Adeniran for me offers a little bit of flair. He offers a little bit of something different. I think Bannon and Wing are very similar, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. But if you've got Luongo in there, it would be allowing them to go and be a little bit more creative and be that link between the back line and the front line, and be a pivot around. Then I think Adeniran would be the 3rd player. That'd be my midfield 3.
I think what I'd like to see is sticking 2 shit kickers behind Bannon, 2 enforcers, and then watching Bannon play that. I think you kids call it the number 10 role now. What Football Manager players would call the attacking midfielder centre, or what Sunday League players call CAM, central attacking midfielder. I'd love to see Bannon in that role, supplying Gregory or supplying Berahino. You know what I mean? I'd love to see that. But I feel like if it's not going his way, all of a sudden you'll find him the other side of the shit kickers we play behind him.
I was going to do that. Even if you free him up to be absolutely the free role, just do what you need to do. I don't think it would sit easy with him. I don't think he just want to get involved too much. I think he would just drop deeper and deeper and deeper. So that's why I don't think you can play just two shit kickers there. You need to have somebody that's got a little bit of craft and a bit of guile so that he can feel comfortable enough that they can play the ball and he doesn't need to go back and do their job and his own job for him. So I think that's the thing. And the players that Stevie mentioned, that could well be on any given day the best 3 central midfielders that we have for any given instance. But I think because all of them seem to bring a little bit of something slightly different, or there's a bit of overlap, Moore can really set it up and say, well, look, we can set it up to stifle whoever we're playing, or we can leave it to the death and then pick a midfield that's just going to completely confuse whoever we're playing against. So to have that flexibility and have those different styles means you can say, well, we're going to allow 1 deep line player and a couple of people pushing further forwards, and it keeps people guessing. And that's going to be his greatest strength if we can keep those options available throughout the season. And
to bring this full circle, just like what you were saying, that's why we missed Kieran Lee and never really replaced him, because he did do that. Bannon looked behind him, he's got Hutch and Lee there, and he went, I'm all right, lads. Yeah. I'm all right. Keep it up. Now, Simon, I'm going to give you a hypothetical. Now, let's say, par exemple, that the Sunderland game was going ahead and Peacock, Farrell couldn't play. So who's left? And who would you pick?
What, to put in goal?
Yep.
It'd have to be Wildsmith or Liam Palmer, depending on.
During the questioning there, I forgot that Dawson was on loan away. So, would you say that, I honestly, it's been a long week. Leave me alone. Like, you know what I mean?
Dean Windass in goal.
So Dean Windass.
I'd give Mark Crossley a call. And
hey, listen, no bollocks to Mark Crossley, because Mark Crossley came on this show and said, "You need to keep hold of Dawson and Wildsmith. You can't let one of them go. You need to keep them both."
You can't be right all the time, can you, Dan? As you know.
And now look where he's left us, the bloody silly sod. Like, you know what I mean? Right, listen. So I need to talk about something important. We may have touched upon it last week, but I think this is mega important. The contract extension of Dominic Iorfa. Now, Ben, he's been bloody brilliant, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's far too good for this league. We all know that. He's top end championship.
Yeah, that good.
I've got him higher than that. Obviously got him higher than that. He's an absolute Rolls Royce of a player, and I know that there'll be people that will look at this podcast. They might tune in. They might go, "There's a Wednesday bias to what's being said here," but I do not. If you look at the players that are playing centre half in the Premiership at the moment, he could line up with anybody from 4th to 17th, I think, and do a job and be a very, very good player in that squad at Premiership level. I think he's been absolutely outstanding. He's not the most technically gifted. He's not the most natural player, but as a defender, he's a hybrid of the modern day centre half and your good old 1994 shit kicking centre half as well. He'll drop bollocks, but he's got the speed and the athleticism to make up for it. He wouldn't look out of place in a Burnley or a mid-table side like that. I think as long as he keeps getting injured in and around transfer window, we'll be all right.
That's like one of those things that when it comes to what does everybody look for? Everyone wants a 20 goal a season, man. But just behind that, every single football team's wish list must have, if you can have a centre half that can cover the ground, old enough to have got some experience, but not so young that it's a good age, if you like. It's with his pace, with his strength. He's got his better years ahead of him. Tell me any club that wouldn't want him on the books. I'm not saying necessarily week in, week out, but with what Stevie's saying, I'm inclined to agree. I think that you have somebody like him at a top team and had another.
Let me just back onto that. It's a little known secret that my second club is Arsenal, and I'll sit and I watch a lot of Arsenal, and I've always had a bit of a soft spot for Arsenal going back to the Ian Wright, Thierry Henry days. I look at their back line at the moment, and Jesus Christ, Dominic Iorfa is better than anything that they've got, and they've paid 50 million for Ben White. If they paid 50 million for Ben White, and people will laugh me out off the podcast, they'll laugh me off social media, whatever. If he's worth 50 million, Dominic Iorfa is worth at least 20. I'm absolutely telling you now.
But let's not forget, though, Ben White is an absolute bloody dreamboat. You know what I mean? Look at him. He's a good-looking bastard. You know what I mean? Now, Si, come on. Now Iorfa, he started out shit, didn't he? And then he got better, or am I being overly critical? I mean, I feel like he's settled a lot more and he's a lot more comfortable. Maybe not playing with Lees, who are very similar players, might have given a bit of confidence, or he was injured for a significant amount of time, which did play into our championship relegation season. But do you feel a lot more confident with him than what you did a year ago?
Oh, without doubt. He was signed by Cabbage Head, wasn't he? He came in. He had that sending off. Oh, Northwest. I think it was was it Wigan or Preston? He were proper bad sending off towards the end of the season. I think he's sort of had to cover for Tom Lees, because Tom Lees was half the player of the last couple of seasons that we've had. This season, I don't know of any striker who will, if they're up against Iorfa, they're never going to get a ball, because he's just got so much pace. And I think we saw that. I think might have been Fleetwood or Doncaster, where they moved their striker over onto, I think it might have been over onto Hutch's side because he wasn't getting a ball against Iorfa. So they put him up against Hutch. And I can't see a striker in this league being any quicker or any better than him. He will mop up every ball possible. Could do with cloning him and having two of them. I've just become really disappointed in Steve, though, finding out that his second team is Arsenal.
Ash's kid last week had the bloody shirt on.
I know. After 93, I'm sorry, Steve, but you've really gone down. I know fantastic players, don't get me wrong. Ian Wright, Thierry Henry, amazing, but they're still one of my most hated teams, despite the fact I've stood on the North Bank and my mate at uni was a massive Arsenal fan. But after 93, I've hated them. And yes, I was going to say he'd walk into their back four because obviously they're in relegation zone at the moment. And if he does get injured before next transfer window, great. If he doesn't, and somebody comes in for at least 20 million. At least 20 million.
At least 20 million for Dominic Iorfa. We've signed him up. That's it.
I can't see us conceding many this season, genuinely. We've only scored against ourselves. That's the only goal we've conceded.
Exactly.
With Hunt, Iorfa, Hutchinson, Dunkley, I'm not.
Liam Palmer.
Was Dunkley injured on Saturday? I think he's injured, yeah.
Okay.
But he's the one I'm not really overly. I know
he had a good game against Rotherham.
That's what we'll put on his headstone. When we finally sell him in 2 years. The bench war.
On his board.
But we've got Brennan, haven't we, as well? By all accounts, he quitted himself well on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
So,
and with Lewis Gibson as well, for me, with him being left-footed, I think that might play a big part if he's going to come into the side.
I'm very excited about Gibson. He's an absolute football manager legend, and I, you know what I mean, if you bought it the last 2 years, and I'm very excited. Also, right, so the game against Sunderland has obviously been postponed because of international call-ups, not on our end because Sunderland had too many international players. So that one's been pushed back. Now I'm annoyed because we've got a bit of momentum, and I'd quite like to play Sunderland now while we're on a bit of a roll. But that means that our next game is on the 11th of September, and it's down in Plymouth. Now I noticed we've also sold out our tickets to Plymouth, and we'll call it the Raider Johnson Derby, for example, and I need you lads to know, you guys based in South Yorkshire, have you any idea how fucking far away it is?
Very far. Very, very, very far.
During lockdown, it was part of my job to drive to Plymouth and Torquay to do these site visits, and it took me 4 hours to drive from Southampton to Plymouth. Now, if you know where that is, 4 hours from there. Have you? Fair play to you, Sheffield Wednesday fans. You guys going down there, coming all that way. Fair play. Because I remember back in the days when I was.
Special mention to Ash because Ash is going. He's got his tickets. He's going down there next week, isn't he? So
yeah.
There's definitely some people who bought the tickets before they looked at us. There's definitely.
you get to Bristol. You get to Bristol.
50 mile an hour.
God, you get to Bristol and it's not exactly the nicest road, is it? Down the M5, and you get to Bristol and you go, "Wow, that was a long trek." And you're not even there. You've got even further to go. It's like, what?
So far.
It's like when you get to Carlisle, when you go into Scotland, when you go into Glasgow, and you get to Carlisle and you went, Christ, that were a run. And then you go, shit, we've got it again to get up to Glasgow.
I told Ash to look into flying down.
Yeah, that's what happened. So I got sent to go and hold Pop World in Plymouth once. I got sent to go and hold there. And I said, "Oh, where's the manager?" And they went, "Oh, he's flown to Brighton." So it was easy for him. He was going for Pride in Brighton, and he flew from Exeter and flew into Gatwick. It's so far. You don't understand how far it is. It's easy. London is halfway if you're going that way, but you're not. You're going to Bristol, and that's not even halfway. It's 50 mile an hour. It's crap.
It might even be that the team actually fly down. The team might actually fly down.
Yeah.
I'm actually excited because I saw a couple on after the Morecambe game about people stuck in Morecambe. I'm really looking forward to the Wednesday fans going stuck in Plymouth. You know what I mean? They're trying to get back on a Sunday of all days. You know what I mean? I'm really excited about it. So, Dave, we're going to beat Plymouth, aren't we? What are you saying?
Yes, we're going to win. We're going to win 2-0.
Oh, and then we'll see what Rady Johnson's got to say about that. What about you, Steve?
I'm normally known for having splinters on my arse, but I went more for the Morecambe game. I went 2-0. So I'm going to go 4. It's Ryan Lowe, isn't it? He's the manager.
Yes.
I'd take a scrappy 2-1.
All right, Ben.
I think 2-1.
2-1, 2-2-1s. Dave's having it, Simon. What about you? Are you going to be?
I'm thinking because they're playing quite well. Apparently, they're playing all right. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking 2-1 or maybe even a 3-2 to Wednesday.
Get 3 2s on, kids. Get 3 2s. Now, it's weird you've said that, actually, Sam, because my group of mates have got this thing that whenever a game is on television, always chuck a fiver at 3 2s, either way. And you'd be surprised how many times it comes in. It's insane. And then get on that cash out button on some of them, because especially when Man U are on, they always score in the last 5 minutes. But I feel like it's going to be a difficult affair. And given how far away it is, I'm going to go with 1-1. So, I'm splinters on our day. I'm checking Steve's mantle. You know what I mean? That's what's happening. Right, chaps, it's that time of the show. Does anybody have any other business? It's been a quiet week, hasn't it? I was trying to do some research before we did the show tonight, and I'm thinking, well, we'll get a good half an hour out the Morecambe game. We didn't.
You should have held back that quiz show for reductions in the club shop for a day.
Yeah, I should have that on retainer for this.
You need to bring your true or false back, actually, Dan. True or falses.
Oh shit, the true or falses were funny. And also, you will notice behind me, I'm sporting the new shirt. It's very sexy, and it is Italian made. So if you're normally an XL, get a double XL. If you're normally a medium, get a large. That type of things. That's unless you're svelte. If you're a skinny chap, you're all right. So anyway, thanks a lot for joining us tonight. Thank you, Simon, Dave, Steve, and Ben. My name's been Dan Fudge. Thanks a lot to Mike Constantine Wealth Management for sponsoring this nonsense, and hopefully we'll have something to talk about next time.
The Wednesday week is sponsored by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. We bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium.